Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Sterling. Did your money work for you today? Drop it in the comments. Let's jump straight into today's topic. At age 40, you have two versions of yourself living completely different lives. On one side, there is a you drowning in debt, questioning how the last 20 years passed and lost under economic stress. On the other side is a you with options, free, sleeping peacefully at night, and filled with happiness when looking at your portfolio. The difference between these two versions isn't luck, inheritance, or a secret investment strategy. It is the 9 extraordinary financial decisions you will make in the next few years. I have dealt with both stock market and real estate investments for years, acquired dozens of properties, lived through every kind of market cycle, and I have seen this. There are invisible traps that separate those who grow financially in their 40s from those heading toward collapse. If you are someone looking at your bank account, wondering if you are on the right track, or if you are losing sleep calculating that you will still be working at age 70, watch this video until the end. Because today, we are not talking about crypto speculations or get rich quick schemes. We are talking about the brutal math of reaching age 40 without a financial disaster. There is a topic no one warns you about regarding turning 40. This is not just a birthday. It is like entering the halftime of a financial match. If you have been someone who lived through your 20s and 30s thinking you had infinite time to figure everything out, age 40 reminds you of the reality like a sledgehammer. You are now responsible not only for yourself, but also for your children who need to go to the doctor, your aging parents who need help, and your career that demands more and more from you. Since the average life expectancy is around 80, 40 is the mathematical midpoint of your life. Every financial decision you make before this turning point determines whether the second half of your life will be spent with freedom or with financial problems. Most people enter their 40s with a pile of random decisions held together by hope and installment payments. But those who truly win this game follow a specific plan. Let me describe what a financial fiasco looks like at 40. I guarantee you, there is someone in your circle living this right now. They earn good money. Maybe they make $60,000 to $70,000 a month, but somehow they always stay broke. They have credit card debts that never shrink, a car loan that feels like a mortgage, and a home loan that seems like it will last a lifetime. They buy lottery tickets, not because they think they will win, but because they cannot imagine any other way to reach financial freedom. They avoid opening credit card statements and panic when their car makes a strange noise, because a single repair bill could ruin their entire month. Now, think of the exact opposite. Someone who enters age 40 having established financial order. They sleep peacefully because they know where their money goes. When their child has an expense or their parents need help, it is not a crisis, just a minor setback. They have options. Because they are not squeezed by debt, they can move to a job they truly love that pays less. Because they built their financial fortress during sunny days, they can weather economic storms with calmness. This is not a dream. It is the natural result of following a specific roadmap. The 9 goals I am about to mention are not just suggestions or nice to have things. These are the minimum financial foundations for anyone who wants to reach 40 without money being a constant source of stress in their life. Some parts may seem obvious to you, while others may challenge everything you think you know about personal finance. But I can tell you this, if you ignore these rules, be prepared to suffer the consequences. 1. Define your ideal financial lifestyle. Let's start with the foundation upon which everything else will be built. You might roll your eyes and say, "This sounds like a motivational speech." But listen to this truth. Most people spend their entire lives chasing a financial goal they never defined. They blindly accept the idea that more money means more happiness. Therefore, they work harder, spend more, and wonder why they are still stressed. Your 20s and 30s are the trial and error phase. You try different jobs, different cities, and different ways of spending your money. You buy an expensive car thinking, "I am a car person." You blow money on clothes thinking fashion is important. Eating out constantly seems easier than cooking, and that is normal to an extent. However, at some point, you need to transition from random spending to a conscious and intentional lifestyle. The bitter truth about lifestyle inflation is this. When you upgrade anything in your life, your brain adjusts to this new normal in about 3 months. The luxury apartment that made you feel successful, when you sign the contract, eventually becomes just your apartment. The car that made you feel like I made it becomes just your means of transportation. Meanwhile, your expenses have increased permanently, but the boost in happiness remained temporary. You are on a treadmill where you run faster and faster but get nowhere. Defining your ideal financial lifestyle means discovering what truly gives you pleasure and stripping away the impositions of what others tell you should give you pleasure. Perhaps you will discover that having a peaceful garden where you can spend time with friends brings you more meaning than driving a luxury car. Maybe you will realize that travel experiences make you happier than expensive technological gadgets. Perhaps you will understand that the flexibility of working part-time is more valuable than any material asset. This is not about living like a monk or depriving yourself of everything good. On the contrary, it is about making a conscious choice so that every cent you spend moves you toward the life you truly want, rather than the life social media tells you to live. When you reach this clarity, financial decisions become simple. You spend generously on things that align with your values and cut everything else ruthlessly. 2. Zero debt, except for the mortgage. This goal will bother some of you, but this topic is closed for negotiation. By age 40, you need to be completely debt-free, except for the mortgage, home loan. I can already hear the objections. What about good debt versus bad debt? What about using other people's money as leverage? How will I build a credit history? I am not here to discuss theoretical debt benefits. I am here to tell you the real difference between those who survive financially in their 40s and those who struggle. When you enter 40 with a debt load hanging around your neck, life starts giving you surprises from every direction. Your career requires more responsibility, while your family expects more time and attention. Your parents need help, while your children's expenses multiply. In this environment, debt is not just a monthly payment item. It is a psychological anchor that restricts your options and magnifies every stressor in your life. I compare debt to that friend who is fun to hang out with occasionally, but poisons everything when they move into your house. Debt serves a purpose in our economy. It allows people to buy homes or start businesses. I also used debt while building my real estate portfolio, but I always did it in a calculated, conscious, and controlled manner. If you accept debt as a permanent part of your life and start thinking in terms of monthly installments instead of total cost, you have invited a vampire into your home that slowly drains your financial life energy. Math does not forgive. If you have $20,000 in credit card debt at 18% interest and you only make the minimum payments, it will take you more than 30 years to finish that debt, and you will pay more than $40,000 to the bank just in interest. Yet, that $40,000 could have been invested, could have bought freedom, or created new options. Instead, that money went into a bank's vault as the price of past wrong decisions. 3. Raise your credit score to 800 or above. This goal will bruise some egos, but before you blow out those 40 candles, your credit score needs to reach 800 or above. I know what you're thinking. Weren't you just telling me to avoid debt like a contagious disease? Yes, I stand by that. However, there is a reality of living in modern society. Unless you are hiding $500,000 in cash under your bed, you will have to borrow money at some point. And when that day comes, you had better make sure you are borrowing under the best possible conditions. Credit scores are the opposite of golf scores. Here, the low one doesn't win, the high one does. The difference between a 650 and an 800 credit score is not just a bragging right at dinner parties. It is the sharp line between financial freedom and financial slavery. In a $500,000 home loan, the small gap between a 3% and a 4% interest rate costs you approximately $100,000 over the life of the loan. Read that again. $100,000. This is not throwaway money. It means an entire car, a down payment for another house, or a 4-year university education. By the time you reach 40, you have had enough time to build a clean credit history that doesn't look like a financial crime scene. I hope you have learned by now not to max out your cards and not to miss payments. Reaching an 800 credit score is not rocket science. It just requires consistency and patience, the two fundamental qualities that separate adults from children. 4. Build a solid emergency fund. This goal is your financial life jacket and is probably the least glamorous topic we will discuss today. Not invested in stocks, not tied up in crypto, or not lent to your brother in law's guaranteed to win business venture. You need a solid emergency fund held as ready cash. Cash waiting in that boring savings account that earns almost no return but is instantly accessible. The reason this fund is much more critical at 40 than it was at 25 is this. When you are young and single, you can handle financial crises with the flexibility of a yoga instructor. Your car breaks down, you use public transportation for a few months. You lose your job, you stay at a friend's house or just eat pasta until you find something new. An opportunity arises. You need money. You take extra shifts or sell your unnecessary belongings. But at age 40, with your family, your mortgage, and the obligations piling on your shoulders from every side, you do not have this luxury. You cannot tell your spouse and children, Daddy made some wrong financial decisions, so we are all eating bread and olives for the next 6 months. You cannot just disappear for 3 months and try to solve everything on your own. You need stability, and cash provides that stability. The general rule is 3 to 6 months of expenses. But to be honest, in today's economy, it is much safer to be close to the upper limit. A 6 month fund gives you the breathing room to make healthy decisions instead of desperate ones. It gives you the chance to wait for the right job instead of desperately saying yes to the first job offer. It reduces emergencies to solvable setbacks instead of life ruining disasters. Think of the emergency fund like the barriers on a bowling lane. You may not need them most of the time, but when life throws a curveball and sends the ball toward the side, it keeps you out of the gutter. And there is that secret benefit no one mentions. Having sufficient cash reserves gives you the power called freedom money. We build this not so you can talk back to your boss, but for the peace of mind that comes with having options. Options are freedom, and freedom is what we are truly trying to build. 5. Keep at least 5 times your annual expenses invested in the market. This goal is where things get interesting and is the point that separates those who work forever from those who have options. By age 40, you need to have at least 5 times your annual expenses kept invested in the market. This is not about getting rich quick or beating the market with a genius strategy. It is about benefiting from the most powerful force in the universe, compound interest. The magic of reaching this goal is this. If you have 5 times your annual expenses invested at age 40, and even if you never add another cent to those investments, compound growth alone will likely provide you with enough money to retire comfortably at 65. 25 years of compound growth can turn $500,000 into $3 million at an 8% return. This is not speculation. It is math. This goal is the stage known as Coast Fire among financial independence enthusiasts. Because you have already done the heavy lifting, you can move toward traditional retirement age without stress. Your money is now working harder than you are. But more importantly, this situation offers you real options in your 40s and 50s. Do you want to move to a job you enjoy but that pays less? Go ahead. Will you take a few years off to raise children or care for aging parents? The math works in your favor. Do you want to start your dream business? You have a financial cushion that makes taking risks possible. The beauty of index funds is that they eliminate the need for guesswork. You don't try to pick winners or time the market. You simply become a partner in the big picture and let it grow. It is boring, it is predictable, and it works. While others chase hot tips and crypto opportunities, you build a real fortune the old-fashioned way. However, believe me, the stock market alone is not enough. Over the years, I have seen that real estate investment adds true diversity and stability to a portfolio. When you consider rental income, value appreciation, and protection against inflation altogether, you will better understand why I have accumulated so many properties. 6. Build career capital. This goal focuses on something equally important besides money, career capital. This capital is the collection of skills, relationships, and expertise that make you valuable in the business world. Your 20s are for exploration, but your 30s should be for building a solid foundation that you can use as leverage in your 40s. Career capital is not just about climbing career ladders or getting fancy titles. It is about becoming so good at what you do that People cannot ignore you. Whether you are an accountant, a teacher, a plumber, or an entrepreneur, the real goal is to develop skills that are both rare and valuable. These skills give you a powerful negotiating tool regarding higher pay, better working conditions, or catching opportunities that align with your own values. I have seen too many people enter age 40 still in exploration mode, jumping from profession to profession, constantly changing education, and failing to build real expertise in any field. Meanwhile, life begins to demand more from them, financially and mentally, exactly when they are least prepared. The responsibilities and expenses that the 40s will bring require a serious financial strength. Career capital is the main way to produce this strength. 7. Develop a solid, age-appropriate exercise routine. This goal might surprise you because it doesn't seem directly related to money, but it definitely affects your financial future. Stop for a second before closing the video. This is not motivational fitness content. Keep listening to me. Exercise and finance are linked much more closely than most people realize. Your body is your income-generating machine. If that machine breaks down, everything we talk about becomes meaningless. Poor health leads to higher medical costs, decreased earning capacity, and a low quality of life that no amount of money can compensate for. However, there is a fact. The exercise needed at age 35 is not the same as at 22. You cannot train as if you were still in your university years and expect your body to keep up in the same way. At this stage, a smart exercise routine is about preventing injuries, maintaining sustainable energy levels, and long-term mobility. It is about being able to play with your children without hurting your back. It is about performing at a high level in your professional life while still having energy for your family when you return home. It is about avoiding that spiral of health problems that can derail even the best financial plans. I am not talking about becoming a fitness influencer or preparing for the Olympics. I am talking about seeing your body as the most valuable asset you own and showing it the care it deserves. 8. Handle while planning and life insurance. This goal is one of those topics no one wants to think about until a disaster occurs. Ignoring it is like texting while driving an uninsured vehicle. Before you reach 40, you need to have settled will planning and the life insurance issue. I know, thinking about your own mortality and dealing with legal documents is not exactly a fun way to spend a Saturday. However, if there are people financially dependent on you, this is not an optional choice for you. It is the most fundamental responsibility. Let's talk about life insurance first, because the math here is both simple and brutal. If something happened to you tomorrow, how long could your family maintain their current lifestyle without your income? 1 week or 1 month? If the answer to this question bothers you, it means you need term life insurance. I am not talking about those complex whole life insurance products that insurance salespeople will try to market to you. I am talking about simple and boring term life insurance that only pays when you die and has almost no cost while you are alive. The general rule is to set a coverage amount of 10 to 12 times your annual expenses. So, if your family needs $60,000 or an equivalent amount a year to get by, you should have coverage of $600,000 to $720,000. If you are a healthy 35-year-old, you will see that the monthly cost of this insurance is even less than a Netflix or Spotify subscription. This is probably the best financial deal you can make in your life, which is exactly why insurance companies hate selling this product. Will planning is the other half of this equation and is not just for the rich with mansions. If you have clear ideas about your assets, your beneficiaries, or what will happen to your belongings when you are gone, you need to put this into legal documents. Otherwise, your loved ones might have to play that never-ending game called probate cases. This game is slower, more expensive than normal court processes, and the kind that makes everyone involved question their life choices. A basic will plan includes a will, power of attorney documents, and if your situation is complex, a trust. The goal is to make the process as easy as possible for those you leave behind who will already be going through the hardest period of their lives. Think of this as your final act of kindness toward them. Hopefully, it won't be needed for decades. 9. Talk to your aging parents about money. This last goal is probably the most uncomfortable conversation you will have in this decade, but it can save your financial future. There is something called the 70-40 rule. When a parent approaches 70 or a child turns 40, it is time to talk. I am not talking about that classic birds and bees talk, of course. I am talking about money. Look, these 9 goals are not a magic wand that guarantees financial happiness at 40. They are the minimum entry fee you must pay to have options instead of obligations. You can ignore them and hope everything will somehow work out. But hope is not a strategy, it is just a lottery ticket. The difference between financial freedom and financial prison is not luck or timing. It is being able to make these decisions while you still have time to let the magic of compound growth work. I have learned this over the years in both the stock market and real estate. Starting early, staying consistent, and acting with strategy rather than panic changes everything. Your 40-year-old self is watching you right now. Don't let them down. Remember, money loves patience. Let your money work for you, not the other way around. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like because every like is an investment for me. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.